Welcome back to Coffee with Keesja. I'm going to keep this intro relatively short because today we're talking with lawyers. So you just know I'm not going to get much of a word in anyway. And unlike their real jobs, they're doing this for us pro bono. Welcome to Susie Fraser, Bron Knox, and Amy Rich. So some fun facts for you about these guys. 2 of them are lawyers and 1 is on her way to becoming one. 2 are in the current Aussie national team and 1 used to be. 1 competed for Australia with both the other 2 guests, yet the other 2 guests have never played together and potentially have never even met. Susie is an Olympic bronze medalist from Beijing 2008. Bron is Australia's most capped female water polo player with almost 300 games and still going. She's a 3-time Olympian, 2 times Olympic bronze medalist, and Amy is a current Aussie stinger and teammate of bronze, plus a World Championship bronze medalist. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Keish.
Thanks for having us.
Perfect. Okay, so now we'll get started with the questions. So this one I guess is for everyone. What did you want to be when you were a kid? And whoever wants to start first.
I'll jump in.
Great.
So I actually always wanted to be an Olympian. I wanted to play sport. I wanted to have that as my career. Everyone, wanted to be the marine biologist or the doctor or whatever they wanted. But for me, it was always I wanted to represent my country and play sport. Anything outside of that was always a secondary safety option, but for me it was always once I knew what the Olympics were, and I watched I believe Kieran Perkins win his gold medal in the 1500 meters from lane 8 in Atlanta.
You were the team in Athens.
Yeah, not quite. In Atlanta, on TV, I knew that was the moment for me that I knew that's what I wanted to do, and it's just a matter about choosing what sport it was going to be.
So is that, Bron, why you've done 3 degrees? Because you had the Olympian thing.
Pretty much. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and there was nothing I really enjoyed as much as the challenge of having to compete. So for me, it was about trying to capitalize on that while trying to explore other options.
Awesome. Who's next?
I'll go. I guess I'm the opposite to Bron. I still don't know what I want to be, I guess.
Neither do I.
Sorry.
Neither do I.
Oh, God. So maybe I'll never know. I guess from that. I don't think I ever even thought the Olympics were on the cards for me probably until I made the national team in 2017. So I guess, again, different from Bron. I didn't think I was going to go to the Olympics. I obviously wanted it. There was obviously some kind of driving passion there, but that wasn't at the forefront of my mind growing up ever. Neither was I never had a career that I wanted to do. I just, kind of rode the wave, and here I am.
Susie?
I think I did. I'm a bit like Bron. I did want to go to the Olympics and be an athlete. As to what sport that would be, I didn't know. At one point I was playing soccer in an all-boys team, went on to different sports, and then obviously started playing water polo, and that became it. But I also wanted to become a physio, and started in first year physio. So, a few things, I guess.
So what finally drew you guys to studying and becoming lawyers?
I'll keep going while I'm on a roll. I think it was a hard one. So, I came out of high school, did a year of physio, and then I love the biomedical science aspect of it. I mean, as athletes, you're constantly treated by physios, you know your body, you know the systems, etc. And I loved learning more about that. And I kind of thought maybe I'd go down the med path, but not so sure. And then law came in. I really enjoyed humanities at school, and everyone said, look, law's a really good background degree. And so I thought, why don't I combine the two, do science, law? So I majored in biomedical science and then combined law. And at one point was thinking I would combine them in a career later on. Probably haven't really gotten there yet. But I think it was, people sort of said law is a good general background degree, and I would agree with that. So made the transition from the sciences to law.
Cool. And Bron, as we said, done a few other things. So you know, you found the one.
Yeah, let's hope so. For me, I was really hesitant to go into law. It was never something I thought I'd be good at. And I think if I had have gone straight into it, I would have hated it and quit pretty quickly. But it was probably around the time of Rio when I was sort of contemplating whether or not I was done playing water polo or not. And I was sort of researching, looking into what I wanted to do as a career, and what the next phase was going to be. And it was only after I started talking to a lot of people and researching, and everything I was sort of interested in had a law background in it, or required, or a number of years working within the field. And for me, I sort of weighed it up, and I thought, I'm not going to get the 10 to 12 years of experience they need, so I may as well see if I enjoyed law. So I applied and wasn't sure if I'd get in. I got in. I was like, I'll just start the first year and see if I like it. And now I've completed it, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. So yeah, I thought I think if I had have gone into it earlier, I definitely wouldn't have done it. But going into it a little bit later and a little bit more mature and a little bit more clear in the sorts of things I was looking for out of a career, it seemed to be a really good fit.
Nice. Amy, what about you?
I, again, opposite to Bron. Did legal studies at school and loved it, and then went straight in first year out of high school into an arts law degree. And I think I really was drawn to like the problem solving aspect. Like law is just applying what you know about the law to a set of facts or to a problem and solving it. And I think these two might disagree with me, but I guess at least in theory, it's like a logical problem solving process. And I guess, well, going off what Bron was saying, I think actually it's a difficult transition going from high school where you're, relatively high achieving, you need to get a high ATAR to get into law, and then you get to law school and everyone, you're in the middle of the pack again. Everyone is high achieving and everyone, has what it takes to become a lawyer. So that, I guess, is a challenge, but it's also quite an enriching experience and empowering experience to be surrounded by like-minded people.
Well, my next question was, is it like Legally Blonde? So you've answered that. So I guess Amy and Bron and Susie, when you were playing, like, how do you find the balance between studying and playing at an elite and training at an elite level? Amy, back to you.
I like it in the sense that you're setting goals in multiple areas of your life. So you kind of stay motivated by, if you aren't doing so well at one, you've got ways to overcome that by working hard in the other, and you can kind of balance it out that way. But I am also someone that really gives 100% to everything that I'm doing. So I find it difficult, particularly when we're on tour, to make time to study. So I made the decision pretty early on in my career with the national team that I was going to take, I came to terms with the fact that I was going to take a long time to finish this degree. I think it will take me 8 or 9 years to finish a 5-year degree, because I know that studying part-time means that I can do the subjects that I'm doing well without burning the candle at both ends, I guess, when we're traveling so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Ronnie?
Yeah, for me, having done a science degree before this one, which required a lot of lab work and a lot of practical things, balancing law and training and tours and everything was so much easier because I applied as an external student. So like everyone's doing now during COVID, all my tutorials and lectures were all online. I only really went in for exams and any sort of on-campus learning, but it sort of made it, I could study from everywhere. I did it while I was playing in Europe for a European club. I did it while I was on tour. Hardest thing is when people like Amy try and distract you for fun tour adventures like Koffee. Was the biggest sort of distraction, I suppose. But also it was, you need those things, and for me it was just about, like I do with training, it's setting a plan. I'll do this study for an hour and then I'll go grab coffee with the girls, or I'll sit down and do this work and then I'll go do something else, or we'll go to training that night. It was a big balancing act, and it changed with priorities as well. Like Amy said, during Olympics, you drop a lot of other stuff to focus purely on one thing. So for me, it's sort of working out what your priorities are for that year and what you want to achieve. And I did 3 semesters a year. So summer, a lot of my subjects were offered during summer. So I didn't need 3 months off in this stage of my studies. So it meant that while I could do part-time during other semesters, I could catch up in that summer to a full-time load. So it was balancing act, but it's also, you just have to know where your priorities are and keep checking in with them.
Yeah, for sure. Susie?
Yeah, I think looking back, like, it's always a bit of a juggle, isn't it? But a good juggle. And I think from the perspective of, you know, if you're injured or your career's cut short, it's always good to have something to rely on and to have a bit of a backup. And secondly, I enjoyed, I guess, the juggle at the time, in terms of your focus isn't just on the sport and your training and your games, and you've got something else to focus on. I always think it's good to have that something else to focus on, whether it be study or an interest outside sport. And I used to find that I played my best water polo when I was busy at uni and busy with training, because you're burning the candle at both ends, but you're not throwing all your eggs in the one basket of the sport.
Putting lots of pressure on yourself, I suppose, if you do.
Yeah.
And Susie, what type of cases do you generally take up in your day-to-day work life?
Yeah, so I'm an in-house lawyer with an engineering and consulting firm now called GHD, not the hair straightener.
Oh, would have been hitting you up for a job.
Yeah. Otherwise, for sure. But no, so basically we do a bit of everything. Excuse me, my kids have given me a cough and a cold. So not actually doing cases in court. I was with Allen's, which is where Bron's dad was as well, and was in the litigation department there. That's a law firm. And we were doing sort of commercial and corporate cases. But with GHD in-house, I love it, because basically you're solving problems, as Amy said, on a daily basis. People come to me with all sorts of things. I never know what my day is going to look like. And it's doing law that's in it, ranging from intellectual property, employment law, commercial law, etc., and then just random sort of questions about the risk of a project or what they're intending on doing, etc. So as when you go in-house and you're a lawyer for a company, you tend to be more a jack of all trades rather than specifically doing cases or acting in court, etc. And I'm really loving that sort of transition, I guess, just having such a different day every day. And so it's almost not the law that you think about when you think of law, which is cases and court, etc. It's quite different, but it's really enjoyable.
I think there'd probably be a lot of law careers out there that people wouldn't necessarily think of. Bronnie, you just graduated. Are you already using your law degree?
Not really at this stage. It makes it really difficult being a new grad and not being able to go in full time. Given that, we're going to be training so much and away so much, and it's a little bit difficult to really throw yourself in 100% to something. And also, as a new grad, whoever you're working for, they like to train you up the way they want things produced and delivered. So for me, it's sort of a bit of on hold until post-Olympics. However, in saying that, I am networking and getting out there and meeting lots of people and trying to work out exactly where I want to go. So when we do hopefully play our Olympic Games, I can then move on and have some really good connections within the industry, given that I haven't been able to do as much work in there throughout my studies. So I think while I'm not doing a lot now, I'm making a lot of steps towards where I want to go.
And, if you're watching this and you're a lawyer or you've got a company, Bron is looking for a job.
Remote working I can do.
Yep. Amy, what about you? Have you had any thoughts about what you might go into, or it's still very up in the air?
I've got a long way to go. I've got another 3 years, I think. So, and I feel like I do a subject and I'm like, ooh, I'm interested in this. I could do that. And then it changes in 5 minutes. So yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And Amy,
Anyone can take that game.
yeah, I didn't know when I finished my law degree, and I think you just sort of, I never would have thought that I would have been working for an engineering and consulting company in sort of the construction area. So you sort of just fall into things, I think.
That's good to hear, because I think there's like a lot of pressure to go into a corporate firm, and I don't know, it's kind of a bit daunting to me, and I don't know what I want yet. So that's good to know.
Do you think, unbiasedly, that the things that make you, you know, that would make you a good lawyer have also made you a good athlete, or vice versa? You know, like anything come to mind?
Yeah, I definitely think there are aspects that help in both. I think the way I set plans and problem solved on how to build skills within the pool also helped me tackle problems in university when I was studying. It really helped having that knowledge of, okay, well, how do I learn this new skill, or how do I get better or faster in the pool? How do I, you know, achieve my goals and make the Olympic team? Same with having problems. How do I solve this problem that's in front of me, and breaking it down to a step-by-step process rather than having that lofty goal at the end that seems impossible, but having those stages and that process pretty down pat, I think really helped, along with time management. Obviously, you learn to manage your time pretty quickly when you've got competing clubs and national programs and all sorts of things, and being able to balance those and ask for help and ask for lots of questions when you're learning is something that I think works both ways in both the pool and university.
See, I was going more along the lines of you could talk yourself out of like an exclusion you didn't agree with. But I mean, I like your answer better.
I definitely don't think that'd be the case. Maybe if you ever get to the tribunal, you might be able to.
Yeah, right. We don't want to.
Yeah, I'm staying well and truly away from that.
Absolutely.
I think considering lawyers either are trying to get people out of trouble or prevent people from getting into trouble, hopefully we stay out of trouble in games, so we'll never need those kind of skills.
Very good, very good. Awesome. All right, so how did everyone get into water polo? Susie, start with you.
Yeah, okay. My sister played in high school, and I remember her practicing egg beater in our backyard pool. And so I just, you know, tried to do everything that she did. So basically tried to do that. And I remember it was sort of a combination of, you know, swimming, which I love, netball, which I really enjoyed, good summer ball sport, followed her in, started at high school, and that was it, really.
Cool. Ronnie?
Yeah, I was swimming pretty competitively at the time, and a friend of mine from school just said, I'm playing this sport, we need more people, can you help us out on a Saturday? I said, sure, why not? So I went down, didn't know the rules. I was like, oh, this is an interesting game. And then it was around the time that the Sydney Olympics were on, and we went down and watched. And I remember watching the women's final live in that stadium. I was like, you know what? This is a really cool sport. I'm going to do that. So I went back and then signed up for training pretty much immediately. So I think that was, a really big catalyst for me joining the sport.
Nice. James?
Yeah, similar to these two. I was a good swimmer and I was a good netball player. And in year 6 at school, I started playing, and Andrew Unitzis was, you know, the head of the Water Polo program. Yep, shout out. At St. Catherine's at the time. And he kind of hooked me up with UNSW, you know, said, why don't you come down and like play club? And then, yeah, I just started from there in the under 14 Bs. It was very frightening, but it was great.
Awesome. What do you think, you know, like women's sport, you kind of have all started in junior ranks and made your way through. Do you think you've like all have probably seen women's sport like take a bit more of a stance, and I suppose the public eye? What do you think about how far it's come, where it has to go, where it can go?
I think I almost think, I mean, I don't know what water polo is like at the moment, but what I'm seeing from a consumer or perspective is I'm seeing that the AFLs and the rugbies and the rugby league and the women's cricket are getting a lot more coverage than they used to, which is great. I still think that, the water polos and netball, like netball has such a huge following, so does water polo. I think it would be great to increase its exposure even more. When I was playing, I think, gradually the exposure did increase, but, and hopefully that's happening more and more and more. But I guess it'd be good to see it for water polo, for the exposure to be increased even more.
Anything else to add, guys? Or just agree?
Agree.
Yeah. Hey?
Yeah, I think it's definitely improved, and women's sport across the board has improved in how it's taken professionally a lot more than it used to. I'd love to see it be removed from just being a token. Like Foxtel had a women's sport channel, but it was like Sport W or something. It wasn't identified. It was sort of a
secondary.
It was secondary to the main sporting channels, and I would like to just see it there permanently and not with a little W attached, just being sport. I think would be fantastic to see as well.
Cool. And Amy, and everyone, but we'll start with Ames. What would your advice be to aspiring female athletes?
I think mainly drawing on my experience that everyone develops and grows and at different times, and everyone has like a different path to high performance, or, generally throughout their sporting career. I, as a junior, I was never the one that was pipelined or, targeted or thought of as the next Aussie Stinger. I, struggled a lot and was a late developer and had like a greater learning curve than some other people. And I think all of those experiences of being dropped from teams and, bouncing back from that has really helped me become the player that I am today. So I think, we see a lot of young girls like dropping out after they don't make their first national team or their first state team. And I think that's probably too early to tell. And, you want to be enjoying the sport, but it's not the be all and end all, and it's not an indicator of your future success just because you get dropped from one team, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Wise words. Ron?
I think Amy made a really good point. I think there are a lot more different avenues to go rather than just the national team. And just because you don't make the national team when you're 18 or 17, when you age out of juniors, it doesn't mean that that's the end of your career. There's so many great options overseas and US college system that I think you can continue to learn and grow and come back and show everyone what you're made of. So for me, I think it's that part of really connecting to what you want to achieve and trying to work out how you're going to do that, and just ask questions. I find a lot of girls are really hesitant to ask questions, and I think that's the only way you sort of learn and know these pathways of asking people what they've done and how they got there, because every single one of us in the current squad has done something different and taken a different path. So it's not one road and that's the road you've got to be on. There's many different winding roads to get where you want to go.
Absolutely. Susie, anything to add?
A similar thing, and I guess you can take it into your careers as well as just generally to back yourself and your abilities. I think I'm going to generalise here, but a lot of females, some males as well, but constantly sort of question themselves and their abilities. And I think people would do better to just back yourself and stop the questioning. Just think, I can do it, or I'm going to give it a go, and I'm just going to back myself, whether that be applying for a job or, applying for the national team, trying to get into the national team.
Yeah, great advice. Okay, so we'll do the rapid fire questions. So 3 questions. We'll just go Amy, Bron, Susie. Then for the next one, Susie, Bron, Amy. And then last one, Bron, you can start. Bron, Amy, Susie. Got that?
All right.
Okay,
Oh,
first
really?
one,
But go
super
ahead.
easy. Super easy for our rapid fire questions. We've got question 1. What is your coffee order?
Double shot cat.
Long black.
Long black with a dash of soy.
Okay, great. And number 2, so we'll start with Susie. What is your go-to karaoke song?
I'm a 80s and 90s tragic, so Horses by Dara Braithwaite.
Oh, yeah, you can definitely bust it out to that one.
Oh, is it me? Look, to be honest, no idea. Couldn't tell you. I will avoid karaoke at all costs.
Oh, right, all right.
But in my car, I'm really good.
Or in the shower.
The pina colada song.
Oh, yeah. That song's a bit weird. Have you listened to the lyrics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, last question for the rapid fire is, in the movie of your life, which celebrity would play you? We're going to start with Bron.
Oh my gosh. Stop laughing at me, Amy. Look, I thought I'd go with someone who has a bit of gravitas, so I'm going to go with Dame Judi Dench.
Oh, wow. Okay, at her current age, or?
Yeah, at her current age, because being the eldest in the team, I think it suits quite well.
Fair enough. And who was next? Ames?
I think. I've been told I look like Cameron Diaz before. I don't really see it,
Oh,
but
that's awesome.
we'll go with that.
Yes, Cameron Diaz. Love it. Susie?
I asked my husband this, and he thought Elaine from Seinfeld just because he loves Seinfeld. Nigella Lawson because he loves Nigella, but I don't think either of those two. So I'll go with Rose Byrne just because she's Australian.
Oh.
She's a brunette.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, nice. Very well done. All very good picks. I can see the movies. I love hearing about all the lawyer stuff. I don't know anything about it. It's really not my cup of tea. But I'm going to come to you guys when I'm in trouble, that's for sure.
Very good. Well, it's good to see you, Keesja. It's been a long time.
I know. And you have 2 kids running around. Who go?
Three.
3. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So,
Actually, okay, tell us about working and being a mum.
yeah, well, actually, I mean, you talk about juggling water polo and, sport or study. I feel like I've still got the juggle, but it's just changed. So it's sort of working. So I'm working 3 or 4 days a week, and then mum of 3 kids. So they're 1, 3, and 5. And so it's still an intense juggle.
Yeah, I bet. And now you have 3 things you can't control rather than...
None. I love coming to work because you're with reasonable people and you can have a coffee by yourself and not with toddler tantrums, etc.
Yeah.
But it is a bit of a juggle and you sort of feel like you're not doing either job that well, but just give it a go.
I'm sure you will. Remember what you said about having confidence. Here you go.
I know. I've just got to back myself.
Take
right?
your own advice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You too.
See you guys.
See you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.